And here we go.
Welcome, everybody.
Yes.
Welcome. And welcome our new members. Riley, good to see you. James, good to see you. Mark, welcome. All right.
Nice to be seen.
Yes, sir. Yeah, like to get some of your other friends, Samantha and what is it, Don? I'd love them participating on those Wednesday meetings, sir.
Are they not showing up?
They're showing up. They're not on video, but they're not asking questions. So Don does kind of pop on his video, but I'd like them, we'd love to see how they're doing and hear them asking questions.
We'll fix that, Bob. No worries. Sorry about that.
Hey, no worries. Yeah, I just want to give you a heads up. We'd love to help them. So as a guest. And again, if you guys, Riley, these are friends of Riley's that he has invited to the Wednesday meeting, which we're kicking off Summer Success. And because they are a friend of Riley's, and any friend of one of our members, they can participate on the Wednesday meeting at no cost. Just put them in contact with me and I can get them all set up. Alrighty, and we are going to have Master Harrison kind of helping us also out here today. Master Oliver and Master Moody are a little tied up, so I'm letting people in, and I guess we can get going.
Sure. All right. Well, I know, and several of us had a great weekend out in Colorado. It's great to see a lot of you, and I met some new people out there. As Bob just mentioned, I know we had some new people out for the meeting. We had Jihai and Riley and Mark and James out there. So that was great to have them out at the meetings. And a couple other things that we covered at the meeting, of course, Jason Purcell and Marie Purcell were both promoted in rank. And yes, Jason to 7th degree and Marie to 3rd degree. Now, some of you people may be, well, I don't know who was there and who wasn't there, but the organization's not really looking necessarily to be a somewhere where you register your students and you get certificates from them and so on and so forth, like a lot of the organizations. But there are a lot of people out there who are maybe, I guess, for lack of a better term, been orphaned and really have no means through organizations to be promoted to their next level. And if you think about it, within this organization, you have Grandmaster Jeff Smith. I can't imagine a higher level individual to have issue a certificate to you. And Grandmaster Oliver as well, and everybody down the line. So that is something that they will do from time to time for, again, individual members of this group that may be without an organization to promote them in rank. Now, actually, what they did for me was give me a side-by-side certification for my 8th Dan. I was issued to that by the organization that I belong to, but they were kind enough to also issue me one as well. So just something for everybody to keep in mind. If you're without an organization to do that there's an avenue through here. Okay.
Mind if I add something with that?
What's that?
Mind if I add something with that?
Oh, no, please go ahead.
Sure. So the other thing too is there's a lot of politics in a lot of organizations, and it just drives me freaking nuts, right? And there's a lot of people that I know, and I've done this in the past, where, yeah, you got to give us testing fees. Why? What are they giving you in return? You're paying them out, right? Why? What do you get from that? Well, it's because they're like, well, I've gotten you up. Yeah, but I also paid you for lessons. I paid you for classes and all that stuff. So now you're now off on your own. You got your own school and all that stuff. And then they're still usually saying, well, we need a percentage of this, or we need billing for this and all that stuff. That drives me nuts. With Master Smith, it's, well, let me come to your school. Let me help you. Let me help build up the business. Let me see what you're doing. Let me give you advice on how to do this. Oh, by the way, I can also give you the certification if you're interested. right? And he didn't ask me that. I actually asked him that. This is years ago. I said, is there any way that I could actually do this through you? And he's like, yeah, sure, I can absolutely do that, right? But looking at it from that front, what I'm getting from Master Smith is far, far more than what I've gotten from other people in the past, period. And Master Smith truly cares about our school and all that stuff. So for me, it was a no-brainer. It was very obvious. Yeah, I'd love to get this from Master Smith. And 10th degree black belt, 7-time world kickboxing champion, all that stuff. Like he's superior to the people, a lot of the people I've worked with in the past anyway. So not, again, I'm not getting paid to say this, right? It's just, this was obvious for us. And if there's other people that are similar in that or thinking about that, I'd highly, highly, highly recommend it. Because he's just phenomenal. And he's not going to just say, yeah, I'll give you your next degree. No, he wants to come out to your school. He wants to see what you're doing. He wants to see, like, it's a legitimate thing, right? You have to go through this, and he'll talk to you about what he wants to see and what he wants to do and all that stuff. But I'd highly recommend it for people doing it, or have it as an additional thing, right? Sure, still have your thing and also have that, because again, that adds value to your school, right? Saying that, oh, by the way, I'm also certified through Grandmaster Jeff Smith. That's a valuable thing to have, and to tell your students, by the way, we've got this Grandmaster coming over, 7-time world kickboxing champion. He's going to be coming to our school several times a year. That's an awesome thing. So I'd highly recommend that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And again, not taking anything away if you have your organizations, but it's an option for people. And again, I was honored to be given one concurrent with ones that I received from my organization. So yeah, again, just something to keep in mind for everybody. We've got a few more people on, and for the most part, I think I've met everybody. But just in case, again, my name is Tim Harrison. I've got a school out in Joliet, Illinois, and I see Stephen out there. I missed him this weekend. And with everyone being tied up, I guess, being the fact that apparently I've been around in this organization forever, I was just looking at some Facebook memories that popped up with our NAPMA Inner Circle meetings 11, 12 years ago. And so that's what this organization was called before it changed to Martial Arts Wealth Mastery. And under the tutelage of the group, we've managed to, I think when we joined the group, we were probably doing between 17 and 24, 25 a month, which we thought was pretty good. But at this point now, we average $100,000 a month. And that is all Grandmaster Oliver, Grandmaster Smith, the live meetings, these Zoom meetings that we started. Excuse me, there we go. The Zoom meetings that we started, I'm pretty sure that was during the pandemic years, then just turned out to be a great idea, and gives us a chance to get together more and more. So anyhow, they asked me, with them being tied up, to kind of sit in and moderate. So I'm honored to be here, and I will answer any questions based on the experience that I have had over the last, whatever it's been, 12, 15 years working with the group. One of the things that they asked is, again, we had a great weekend meeting, and we're looking for some takeaways for people that were there. Now, I didn't get there until Friday, but I know on Thursday, we spent a lot of time on enrollments. And I don't know if anybody that was there on Thursday, if they'd like to speak to that a little bit and just give us some ideas what was covered.
Yeah, I'd like to just kind of add, something that I thought was very valuable at the meetings. One of the things that I took away was that there's kind of a lot of different ways to do one really good enrollment. So, for example, I'm kind of synthesizing using Master Moody's version of enrollment and Master Oliver's version of enrollment. I use like a features and benefits sheet as opposed to the questionnaire that talks about, you're going to be living in the area for the year, the pre-qualification sheet. So one of the things that I took away was that both are really good methods of enrolling. I just wanted to, do a little bit of more exploration to see whether or not one is more effective than the other. But really, I thought that a different way of doing that enrollment conference using the features and benefits sheet or using the pre-qualification sheet was really good. The other thing that I took away was talking about the budget. Asking, our tuition generally sits between $347 and $397 a month. I wasn't really previously doing that. I was price anchoring because right now I'm at $297 and I'm starting my anchor at $347 and then bringing it down to $297. I really like the way that it was presented with the budget range, because then kind of gives me a gate to work towards a couple of paid in fulls. I'm still not sure whether or not I want to totally pursue paid in fulls on basic, but I just really thought that the approach to doing it multiple different ways and getting the same result was very effective. So I had a good time learning about that stuff.
Great. Yes, I think there are so many great things about this group, but at the top end, you really have three different personalities. Of course, you've got Grandmaster Smith, who has been doing this forever, and Grandmaster Oliver, who of course started out under Grandmaster Smith, but then came and built his empire in Denver. And then you've got, Master Moody. And what I like about it is, I guess with the different personalities, I think that it draws a variety of people. People have their, I don't know if you want to call it their favorites, or the person that they seem to be a little more comfortable going to. So having that, I'll say, personality diversity, I think is a great benefit of the organization. And yes, what I found is, much like, I guess, Bruce Lee, you take what's good and discard what's not, and you find your way. So yeah, having all of that knowledge and then picking up on what you like, I think is an excellent thing.
I'd like to concur with what Riley said too, and the calmness that Master Oliver had when he was closing. Just like he was like Tom Brady in the pocket, just poised and relaxed as, okay, when they have an objection and he said even a lot of the stuff that we do, we don't really, like I was going through benefit sheet, going through everything they're going to get with when they enroll. And he was like, not that that's a bad thing necessarily, but he was just kind of like, you don't even have to do all that. You could just, because usually for me to close takes 20 or 30 minutes sometimes. And it just seemed like this could just so much quicker. Just, once you've gotten some of those questions out of the way, and then just, sit down, and normally the tuition is this and da-da-da-da because you came in on this special. It's this today, plus the monthly, and then he goes just right to the close and just, so how would you like to pay for that? Or how would you like to, we take check, MasterCard, or we take debit card, Visa, how would you like to handle that? And it's just calm and easy, and something I still got to practice more, as you can tell, but I thought that was real, how relaxed he was.
Absolutely. And I couldn't agree with you more. There's oftentimes, again, when I'm talking with the staff, that I try to channel Grandmaster Oliver's voice and calmness when going through things. And obviously, and what he pointed out is, up to that point, everything else has to be done right. So if everything else is done right, from the lead to the intro to the second, that you can just go in and have a conversation. And the key to that is, of course, knowing your stuff and being used to it, and then presenting it in that calm conversation way. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more.
Let me also add, and this is what you were just talking about, Master Harrison, having the three personalities. So I find that I relate a lot more to Master Smith. Master Moody, his systems is phenomenal, right? It's just, you do this, it's very different than Master Smith, who is more like a people person and all that stuff. Master Oliver, I found, is kind of in the middle of both. He has traits of kind of each, right? And I know it can be frustrating at first when you're in the group of going, well, because you might ask them a question and you get 3 different answers sometimes. You're like, well, God damn it, which one, right? But the reality is, when you really start understanding what each of them are saying, then you're really understanding that principle. And now you can figure out how to relate it to yourself. Right. Versus there are some things you need to do verbatim. Some of the stuff they say, I remember like on birthday parties, for example, my staff was telling people, oh, and we're going to give you 2 free weeks of lessons. Nope, you can't say it like that. Timmy's mom has set up to give you 2 free weeks of lessons. Huge difference. It seems like the same, but it's a huge difference, right? When you're doing booth events, when you're doing the phone script, sometimes that small thing makes a huge difference, right? And so some of the things you need to do verbatim. But again, once you understand where Master Smith is coming from, where Master Oliver is coming from, where Master Moody is coming from, now it makes a lot more sense. And now you realize, what do I need verbatim versus what can I take and adapt and make it fit my style, right? So that's the thing. And I know, Master Harrison, you're the same thing. The people that have been in the group for a while, look at it that way. How can you learn from each of them those different things? That's huge. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, again, couldn't agree with you more there. Anything else on the Thursday day with the
Sure.
enrollments?
I got one more.
Oh,
So for us, it was the questions. So we've got our intro packet, and I didn't have those questions in it. So for example, you know, what do you like about the program? What are you hoping to get out of the program? So these are the questions that in the packet you say, I want you to go home and go through these things as a family, right? And so there are specific questions you want them asking ahead of time, thinking about it ahead of time. And so I'm like, oh, that's right. We don't have that stuff in there. We've got a huge intro packet that has testimonials and talking about the program. And we talk about how they have to earn their white belt. But it's like, oh, we need to add one more page and say, go through this as a family. Because again, how many times is it just mom that brings them? Or just dad brings them? Or just the nanny brings them? So we need something to ask, you know, some of the stuff and get the juices flowing with that. So they have a better idea of that before the next class. So that was something, again, I've heard their intro lesson. I've heard Master Oliver do it a ton of times. And every time I hear it, oh, there's something else small that I'm like, oh, we could do that. We could add that. So yeah.
Yeah.
Every time that,
go ahead, William. I know you.
I was going to say, every time that I go to the live meeting, I always get something out of it. Always a different mindset, always helping me become more of a professional. I use this sheet, right? And these are the questions that we're talking about. But I had picked this up for my renewals, like a progress check for to help renew. I never thought to use it for an introductory, you know, an evaluation to get them enrolled. And the mindset, the shift is so different. And you do get to learn different personalities of the 3 different masters that are mentoring us. And I found sometimes, oh, I'm not quite in line with one, and I'm more in line with the other. Now that I've been with the group longer, I feel like I'm more in line with each one of them. And each one of them has something else to bring to the table. And yeah, they may do things a little bit differently, but the outcome is the same. They're all in line with what we're all ultimately trying to achieve. And I'm so excited about sharing with you guys that I had something happen yesterday. And I posted on the group. I spoke with Grandmaster, all the mentors this morning. I had a personal matter to talk to them about. And I shared with them, I'm like, even though I have this going on, Masters, and thank you for your help with this, by the way, but you know, this happened yesterday. I had a walk-in come in. I was very attentive to who's coming in and out and welcoming. So that's the first thing I said. You need to be like, hey, be aware of everything that's going on. And when you get someone in, be welcoming. I was not expecting them. This was a complete walk-in, and I went and I greeted them. They came in and they asked, they're like, hey, do you speak Mandarin, or anyone speak Mandarin? I said, no. But what are you looking for? You obviously here, you're looking for martial arts. Yeah, we found you online. All right, great. Well, who's this for? Went through that process, and then it's for their 14-year-old daughter. And I said, okay, well, you know what? Do you have time right now? Let's do an introductory lesson right now. It's like, why wait? They're already here. They're hot. They're on the, let's do this. I got my daughter in. I had her come over and introduce them. And I said, well, let's go ahead and do this introductory lesson. So I went over to the other side of the room. I had my daughter working with their daughter based on what they were looking for, which is something physical, something fitness, something developmental, something that she can learn some self-defense. I told my daughter, just make it fun. Go have fun. I don't even care what you do. Just do your thing. She's great. She did her thing. While this is happening, I am sitting down with the parents with Google Translate, and we're going back and forth, Google Translate, and I'm pre-qualifying them using these questions. I'm like, well, what are you looking for your daughter? They share with me, oh, I'm looking for something physical. Okay, well, I explained, this is what we do. We develop people. This is a program to black belt and beyond. Are you going to be living in the area for a year? They said, yes. Okay, great. Is this going to work okay with the budget? And I gave them 347 to 597. And they said, oh, yes, great. So we just went back and forth a little bit and me probing them on what is it that you need? What is it that you're looking for? What outcome are you looking for? Well, long story, trying to condense it a little bit, they said, well, my daughter, we're going to be here for the next few years. My daughter's she's 14 now, graduating in about 5 years or so. So their time horizon was perfect for black belt. And then I asked them, okay, let's match the goals. We're goal oriented. This is about a program. So I pre-qualified them on every single thing, just having a normal conversation. And it wasn't about the features and benefits. They said, hey, I want a program that she can come here every day. Okay, well, I'm not going to prejudge you. Okay, you want to come every day. This is the program. And you would be training every day because you're training towards something. You're training towards black belt. And I let them know also. They said, is black belt the highest? And I was already typing in my translate saying, there's 9 levels of black belt, and black belt is the beginning of the journey. So I pre-framed them already. So I said, perfect match. I'm like, I'm just going to go for it. They qualify. Why am I going to take them through a process and slow the process down when they already know what they want? So I went ahead and said, okay, well, you know what? Based on this, I normally qualify my students, but you're qualifying. The daughter came over. She loved it. The parents love it. I'm like, are you okay with second degree black belt by the time she graduates from high school? They said, yes. Perfect. Are you okay with the 597 for that particular program? It's my most elite program. They said, yes. Great. I'm like, well, this is what it is. It's this, the initials, $1,000. And that will get you everything that you need. Oh, and then they start asking me, well, what does the $1,000 include? And I said, well, everything that your daughter needs for the program all the way to second degree black belt. That's what it includes. So yes, the uniform, the sparring gear, the weapons, the books that she's going to be required to, whatever she needs, it's included. And I pointed around, some of my leadership students were coming in, this, and yep, she's going to get the red uniform because you are looking for her to become that second degree black belt, and you want her to be developed into that type of person that develops confidence and focus and good character and respect and learn and can also defend themselves physically and also mentally. They loved it. I said, how would you like to take care of that? Just like Grandmaster Oliver taught me. They gave me the credit card. I processed it. And they said, oh, by the way, if I pay for the year, how would that work? So I just showed them kind of what that, oh, no, I'm not going to go that route. Okay, that's fine. Processed it right away. Gave her the uniform, gave her everything. I would not, absolutely not been able to do that last week.
Right.
It's only because I went through the process of learning from the masters and the mentors on how to be a professional school owner, where I can walk them through a process of getting them what their needs are. And that's it. It's a win-win. And it was really a mind shift change that I learned. And $597 a month with the $1,000 initial for 4 years
Mhm.
off of walk-in. I mean, this is the easiest thing I had ever done. I never even thought I'd be sharing this with a group like this, saying what I did, right? And it's all because of the mentorship from everyone. This whole group all together came together. We're a close, tight group, and everyone is so wonderful and helpful. Master Harrison, Master Purcell, just the relationship that we've built. Master Del Castillo, just missed you this weekend, I got to say. You were totally missed. Master Delfino, everyone came together. It's just a wonderful thing. So thank you very much. I'm very proud to be a part of a group like this.
That's great. And then what an accomplishment for you. I mean, yeah, unbelievable. And
Congratulations.
yes,
That's
congratulations. You're also highlighting the importance of making it to the live meetings. Because as you said, you wouldn't have thought that you could have done that last week.
No way. It was
But-
features and benefits. It's me trying to sell them.
Yep.
This wasn't me selling them. This was me qualifying them.
Right.
For which program they should go into. The basic, that's all I was trying to qualify them for. And then all of a sudden, the answers came back as a leadership. And I'm like, well, why am I gonna, let's just keep going.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. And again, I know for some people, travel or maybe getting away for the weekend might be for whatever reason, might seem like a little bit of a hiccup sometimes, but I definitely know this, and I would pass it along, that whatever you spend on travel, that's your return. You know, we talk about return on investment. It's well worth it making it to the live meetings.
Well, I think I got my return yesterday.
Yeah, I would say so.
I mean, it was kind of quick. I wasn't expecting it to come that quickly, but I was like, that already paid for the trip. And
Yeah.
then I still have 47 more months of residual.
Yeah, I
have
paid
to
for your
go
next
along with
couple of
that.
trips.
Yeah.
Yeah, I personally, we the charge I get out of the meetings and getting the chance to just sit, have dinner, the conversations that we have with everybody. Yeah, that has such a value to me. You know, I'm sure everybody's heard the quote that if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Well, at our schools, that usually is the case, right? So coming to these live meetings is an opportunity, at least for me. I'm in a room I'm not the smartest person in the room, you know, and it just gives me a chance to recharge and get new ideas and come back just raring to go. So I know I probably said it now 4 or 5 times, but the value of these live meetings, they were for, what are we doing? Three times a year now, Mr.
Yes,
Dunn?
sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
3 times a year. And for the first time, I think, since I've been a part of the organization, we put out a list 3 years in advance of the, pretty close to, I'm sure they're a little bit tentative, meeting dates. So get them on your calendars and work on making the plans, because, that's where the magic happens.
And the next one is going to be back in Colorado. That's going to be October. I'm sorry. Yeah, October. Quick start, 3rd and 4th. Leadership, 4th and 5th. And then our $1 million schools will be on the 6th. So if you want to go ahead and block that out.
And if we're at the same hotel, I got to say, I thought it was a great location. Choice hotel. It's not, super expensive. And they've got a great historic restaurant bar right next door. So that was very nice as well. And Denver's easy, I think, for most people to get in and out of. It's a major airport. So yeah, make those plans.
Well,
and if you're looking for those dates for the next 3 years, I'm sure they're on the Facebook somewhere.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I've already
Yeah,
booked some of those dates.
Yeah, Master Oliver did put them together through 2026. So I'll take a photo and I'll post it back up in the Facebook group again for anybody who needs to look. refresher.
You know, another
it's-
great thing about this is that it's the belief system, and just hearing that Master Purcell is hitting those numbers and Heidi's hitting those numbers, and you know, everyone's hitting these numbers, and I'm like, well, crap, if they can do it, I can do it. You know, it gives me that support system, and I'm like, well, if they can charge $597, I can charge $597. Why not? You know, we're all accomplishing, hopefully we're trying to accomplish the same thing, which is developing strong, independent people that have good character and respect, and that can kick butt and defend themselves if they have to. That's what we're doing. So just hearing these, that you know, and it allows us to be able to help everyone else out, is a huge benefit. And then the other thing that I wanted to share is I did not implement fast enough. I mean, Master Moody and Master Oliver make fun of me. Oh, Wong's like the slowest implementer. I mean, he's been talking about doing this black belt leadership for 2 years now in the group, and he still hasn't done it. I mean, I was just like, I don't know how to do that. I'm like, I need to know all the things that go. I need to have the curriculum down. I don't have time to do that. I'm just going to put everyone in basic. And then when I started losing my basic students because I was just renewing them maybe for another 12 months, I was like, damn, this sucks. I better start doing this thing. So I went over there and I learned a little bit, and I kind of did what I thought I was supposed to do and kind of did it wrong, and eventually got my program director to go with me. And then she ended up kicking me in the butt saying, Mr. Wong, we're supposed to be doing this. And I'm like, well, then help me do it. Because I kind of know how to do it, but I kind of don't. We're kind of in the same boat. So just let's do this thing. So over the course of 3 months last year, in October, November, December, I was able to really push, and yeah, I upset some people, but so what, right? I did what was right for the school, implemented, and this time going around, when I was taking my notes, I had a section at the top that said to do. So I was picking out the top things that I took from each day, and I did separate notes each day too. I have my day 1, day 2, day 3, and so forth, and I take all my notes. And then and then I go to the top and I put down all the things that I need to do to implement. I didn't know I was going to implement so quickly, but I really did. I had a meeting with my staff yesterday morning, and I told them we're changing the process. We're changing how we're doing enrollments. The one for me, we went over the stats. Keeping stats is so important, because if we wouldn't have gone over the stats, I would not have known that my whole process is falling apart at the second class. My conversions are good for show for the intro, but intro to second class was good. Second class to show and enroll just falling apart. And I didn't know unless I would have been able, you know, if I didn't have those stats, and it kind of told me. And so I was a little more open-minded to listening to, okay, well, if it's not working the way I'm doing it, I better listen to Master Oliver and how he's doing this thing. So it was a different year that I was using to be able to do it, but implementation is key. I've been implementing, and I have a lot more to do, but I'm pretty happy with what I've done so far.
Yeah, that's absolutely, you know, stats. What I find is we're never doing as well as we think we are. You know, again, looking from first to second, second to, you know, enrollment and everything. Well, matter of fact, here, we put a lot of effort into making sure that we get from first to second. And if you were to ask me, I would have said, yeah, it's around 95%, exactly where it should be. Then I looked at the numbers and I see we're at 77%. So actually looking at the numbers, seeing where things are, tells you exactly really where you are and what improvements you need to make. So yeah, I couldn't agree with you more on that. You know, getting back to, I guess, just talking about the organization and the success, and we've been talking about the success that everybody's had, and you know, people getting to that $1 million mark, and now actually over that with, you know, based on their monthly incomes. I've seen throughout the years a lot of people get to a certain point, and then they think they're there, they stop because they think they've got it. And I have noticed myself over the years that with the group, there's times where we will maybe plateau. There's times where we will fall off. And if I didn't have the support and inspiration from the group, we'd continue that downward trend. So yeah, I guess I'm just feeling fortunate that I've stuck with it, and there's that success line, right? Everybody thinks success is like this. It's really like this. I couldn't find that to be more true. And again, having the input from Grandmaster Smith, Grandmaster Oliver, Grandmaster Moody has really helped us keep going in the direction that we want to go. So just something for everybody to think about. I know most of you guys have been here for a while, but yeah, that's my take on why I've been here long term.
I was gonna say the stats was huge. Almost that alone, going through the stats was worth it. And then the plateau, when Master Moody did that, that was a really good insight. You know, half the time I come away like, why didn't I think of that? Or, you know, it seems obvious, but I never thought of that. And William, I thought I had the record for the lowest implementation. I'm working on it, but I'm trying not to drag my feet, but I'm doing what I know to do. It's just, I think I overwhelm myself. I got to fix
And that's the thing.
I gotta fix marketing. I got to fix the, you know, instead of like one thing at a time and just breathing and trying to get it done, you know. And
Well, your
that's
stats will tell you where you need to implement. And that's what happened for me. I'm like, dude, I suck right here. I'm like, I'm either a terrible salesperson, like I don't know how to talk to people, I can't relate, like, am I a used car salesman? What's going on here? And it all boiled down to, it wasn't me. I was trying to sell them in the enrollment meeting instead of letting my staff and the whole school and the environment really show them the value in that second class. My instructors need to step up and they need to start using the black belt language that Master Smith talks about. They need to be spotlighted. They need to feel good. They need to understand the whole experience that a black belt would have in 3, 4, 5 years in about, what, a week or two? In order for them to understand what we do, we need to be on top of it. I need to be on top of it. I need to put my systems and structures in place so that I can teach them what it is that they have to do with my structured staff development training. And I haven't done it like I should. And I keep asking them, hey, we got to get together. What works for you? Well, Master Harrison says it's not about them. We need to just do it. And that's another next thing I'm going to do, Master Harrison, Grandmaster Harrison. I'm gonna, you know, set the date and that's it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's not going to happen.
Well, you know, and anybody that thinks they're the Lone Ranger with being overwhelmed, yeah, I think that probably each and every one of us that's been doing this has felt overwhelmed at sometimes. And exactly what a couple of you said, so many great ideas. Pick one thing, get that done, then another thing, and then it starts to build. I know, you know, I was one of those slow implementers as well. And then with some great staff, they helped push that and, you know, got us going in the right direction. It's things that we know and we teach. I guess a couple of points that I have, again, thinking about the group. We know that if we don't train our staff about every quarter, that what we taught them 3 months ago, they stopped doing. I think most of us would agree on that. It's the same thing with this group, because I've found that we learned what to do, we implemented, and then suddenly at a certain point, we stopped doing the things that got us to where we are. And I don't know why that happens, but it does happen. So again, being at these live meetings, staying focused on the conference calls, that's at least for me, that's the retraining to keep us focused and make sure we continue to do what we're going to do. The other thing that hit me is, I know in a lot of the readings that I do, when they talk about success, they say, find somebody who has what you want and model them. Well, again, getting back to Grandmaster Smith running 12 schools for Junri, Grandmaster Oliver with his empire out there in Denver, and Grandmaster Moody, very successful in the martial arts field. So as opposed to making it up, right, if we listen to them, what they have to say, and then implement it, we should receive the same or experience the same results that they did. So again, I feel very fortunate to be able to have people to model.
Let me also add, so live events are by far, I mean, the Tuesday, Thursday meetings, you know, we get stuff from it. Now I have my staff coming on Thursdays, which is good because they need to get this stuff. And I've had staff before say, well, it's the same thing I'm learning. No, there's things I'm still picking up all the time. And I guarantee you, I know a lot more of this than you do because I've been doing this since I was 4 years old. So don't tell me you can't learn something. You absolutely can. Now, there's some stuff that is that they talk about again, and that's fine. We still need to be hearing that, right? But the live events, I always get 20 times more than the things, right? And it's easy. I understand people, especially when they first start off, like I've got to spend the money and come to the events, and then I've got to take this off. And I remember William, when you first started, you're like, oh, I've got a tournament. I'm like, no, don't go to the damn tournament. Come to this, right? And that's normal because, oh, I've got this testing thing and I've got this class. No. You're the owner of your business. You run the business. You can schedule this. This group is your top priority. If you're in this group, it's because you're not happy with where you are financially, right? You want to grow. Okay. So don't do the things that you've always been doing that is keeping you at this level and ignoring the thing that's going to get you up here. This is the priority. This is the priority, whatever that is. How do you make the Tuesday meetings? How do you make come to the live events? Always come to live events. And again, for me, as Master Harrison's saying, also being able to connect, talking with Krista, talking with other people in the group, that is extremely helpful for us. Talk to other people, find out what they're doing, and have them help motivate you. I think that's the biggest thing. And then again, there is a ton of stuff you're going to get from these meetings. Focus on one or two things. Focus on one or two things. And if you do that every time, that's what we've done. I remember when we first joined the group and we went to Amanda Christensen's school, Marie and I were just overwhelmed. And Marie would literally be depressed. And she'd be like, oh, we have so much to learn. And now we go to her school and we're like, yep, I feel we're in a good spot. We're on par with them just fine. Now they're doing some stuff that's better than us. And I know we're doing some stuff that's better than them. And now we're to that point. And that's just from coming and adding a little bit and doing a little bit and doing a little bit. And if you keep that up, that's where you start growing like crazy, right?
Yeah. You know,
Can I mention something really quick about
Yeah.
that? For me, going to the live meetings have been an inspiration, both an inspiration, and I also feel supported as a school owner. Like I often feel like I'm an island out here, like just kind of doing my thing and running my staff, and nobody understands me. And it's not just the education; it's the connection with the fellow school owners, and you know, having dinner after hours. I know, Master Harrison, you've mentioned that that's a big part of it for you. That's a huge part of it for me. This was the first time I brought my staff. My staff are like completely like blown away by all of this information, and then seeing these other school owners face to face. I make them go to the quick start meetings on Thursdays, but it's not the same to actually be like, these people are doing it. There's no reason why we can't do it. They're going through and doing things without me asking them yesterday. I didn't go in yesterday because I wanted to download all my notes and figure out what I wanted to implement. And they're like, oh yeah, we already took care of that. And I'm like, I didn't have to remind you. like it's incredible, not just for us as school owners to go to the live meetings, but if you can bring your staff. That was huge for me to bring my staff for the first time. So that's my input on it.
You know,
Yeah.
the mastermind concept has been around for a lot of years. I know when my readings of Napoleon Hill, he talks about it, and it's simply like-minded people being together in the same room. And I'm going to paraphrase a little bit, but it talks about that there's actually something that happens, you know, between brain waves or energies that increases everybody's ability to perform. So there's some science behind it. You know, it's not just a bunch of people getting together and talking about stuff. but like-minded people with the same goals moving in the same direction causes like a higher vibration of success. So again, I'll get back to the importance of being at those live meetings and creating that and getting the benefits from it. So,
So I was gonna say, so many times in the meeting, you got school owners have probably noticed this, I ask you a million questions because you're in the trenches with me, and so I'm asking, what do you charge, or how do you do this intro, or what, and just because I need that social proof. I'm my own worst enemy, and I need that social proof. So, so you're probably annoyed with me sometimes because I ask school owners, so many different questions, and I always get great input. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
good, good. Well, we talked about enrollments on Thursday. We talked about the stats, which we know are so important. And again, they even took it to a different level where you guys remember looking at the stats in order to find what it costs you, or not so much what it costs you, but what you receive for each lead, attaching dollar figures to that, and what you receive for an enrollment. And those are, theoretical, I guess, figures, based on math and averages. But as we talked about, the benefits of that are pointing out to your staff and to ourselves that lead is worth $800. I was like, well, how's a lead worth $800? Well, based on the number of leads that we get and our income, we know that by doing the math, each individual lead is worth so much. So in an effort to get us to treat those leads and those intros and those enrollments as we should be treating them, it's good to put a value to them, to understand that every one of those leads is really worth that amount. So again, that comes out of the stats as well, and I found that very valuable. Also, when taking a look at what you're going to spend to get a lead, that if that lead's worth $800, well, if I spend 4 to get one, that's great. If I spend 8 to get, if I end up spending 1,200 to get one, well, then it's going to pay for it by the enrollment. So again, I enjoyed that.
I think, Mr. Harrison, it's also
Yes, sir.
important to treat each lead as if it's the only lead that you receive. What would you do if you only got one lead that month? What would you do in following up to track that person down, to make the appointment, and to present all of the benefits that you're able to offer? So do that with each individual lead that you do get. So it's important. So
and in that discussion, I know we talked into making sure that we take a look at our schools from the eyes of the parents, from even going outside, trying to clear our minds and see how the school looks on the outside. It's an old saying, but first impressions make a difference, especially first impressions where we're asking somebody for $597 a month. So yeah, just stepping back, taking a look, and really seeing is I don't know, is there dust in the corner? Are there fingerprints on the door? Is there toilet paper in the bathroom? Is all of that really taking lead? Because all of that matters. The stepping back and taking a look, they cover that in Jocko Willnick's books with which extreme ownership and a couple things like that. So again, I guess I always get a kick when I hear references in several different areas. But it is important to, instead of being immersed in the jungle, that you do take time, step back, take a look at your school, see what's improvement, what needs improvement, what needs, can be cleaned up a little better. That's just from the physical standpoint. but also sometimes take a look and see how your instructors are doing out of the mat. It looks different when you're out on the mat with them than it does from, say, where the parents are sitting and what they're seeing. And it just gives you the opportunity to see things and then make some adjustments from there. And I know that was one of the things that I picked up. I think it was on Saturday. Now, I know Saturday we talked about a lot of things. One of them was we talked a little bit about renewals. We probably didn't talk as much as we wanted to. And then those of us that were there on Sunday picked up on it a little more. But from Saturday, does anybody have any input on what we talked about with renewals?
Yeah. So, and we're going to start tracking our stats on dropouts.
Yeah.
So at what level are they dropping out? Because theoretically, it should be more of the basic students that are dropping out because they haven't set their goal to black belt. And then in our leadership or black belt program, what belts are they dropping out? Is it green belt? Is it blue belt? Whatever. So we're going to start tracking that way. And that way we can start figuring out, well, is there something in the curriculum, right? Talking about stats. Maybe this is too hard, or maybe they're coming up with, I don't feel I can ever become a black belt, whatever it is, right? So track what numbers are basic, what numbers are these. I think that's a really cool thing.
Okay. How about some of you guys who were there for the first time? James, is it my understanding that was your first meeting?
Technically second, but you know,
Okay.
that's fine. Everything that's been said so far, those are the things I've taken away. That was one of I was just looking at my notes. The dropout, where they're at. You know, are they a low rank dropout? Are they mid range? So, you know, is it a process thing? Is it a curriculum thing? That was another note that I took away. I would say my biggest one was how to improve the enrollment process. Just like everybody said, the language, the pre-qualification, the pre-framing, all of that has been huge for me. I've always kind of approached it as a benefit standpoint, you know, pointing out all the benefits, the features, and haven't had a whole lot of success for that. But pre-qualifying them and then selling it from the floor, giving them the benefit and the value, but not having to talk about it, and then just having a normal conversation. So that was huge for me.
Yeah, I would say it seems like people are more apt to accept things that they see as opposed to what they're told. So yeah, if we're doing everything right on the floor again, and that is a whole process as well that, you know, we learned from this organization, then getting into that either enrollment conference or renewal conference, there's not a lot of difference between the two. It's just about having a conversation. So.
Yeah, I think that's important that you point that out, James, because I chat with a lot of school owners all over, and most of them do focus on the features, right? Instead of having a conversation to find out what is it that your prospect, your person that you're doing an intro with, what is it that they're looking to get out of it, right? It's always what's in it for me. That's what's in their head. And if you're not having that conversation with them to really open and expand on how the benefits of your program can really achieve those goals that they're looking to accomplish, then it only becomes one-sided. So it's important to, as you said, have that conversation and then find out what it is that they're looking to get out of the program, and then, you know, expand upon that instead of just drilling them with features. So good deal. Oh, and real quick too, Jason and William, you guys all had notes. Anybody who had notes from the weekend, we'd love for you to share on the Facebook group. You know, just take a picture and share with everybody else. Even if there's stats, I mean, that's always valuable. I know Master Smith, Master Oliver, they're always looking at it. So please pop those up in there.
I've got 12 pages of notes I'm going to be taking out. Yeah.
Or the merrier.
Jason.
I think
Great.
Jason took notes for all of us.
Yeah.
Well, if y'all share, everybody shared with did it for everybody. So
I think that the best thing about the meeting was being able to just hunker down and focus on the business side of it instead of being in the operation side of it where you're always worried about something. I was not worried about anything at all. I was able to focus on what was going on, the task at hand. I was able to talk to people, meet everybody again, you know, all the people that we interact with and what have you online. But it's much nicer to meet them in person and actually get a conversation going. And the nice thing is they solve problems for you just by talking. I gotta tell you, Rob, it was good to get that verbiage for the renewal. Thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would have, if you want to go over, if somebody can go over a little bit more on the renewal side, that would be awesome. As far as like what you guys went over on Sunday, Tim, that'd be great.
Sure. Well, does anybody that was there on Sunday want to elaborate on that?
Sure. So Sunday for us was realize staffing, and that was awesome. That was really good. So for us, realizing how we're doing the pay structure, so having it be where you have a salary for the most part, and then everything else is a percentage of the gross. We're doing bonuses at a certain point, but anyway, so I like this a lot better. It ties them more into the health of the business. As the company is growing, then you're making more, and if it's not, you're not. So that was one thing. The other thing is we need to have a structure more on specific job titles, right? What is this position? What is this position? Have that stuff written out and have it where the staff knows exactly what that is, and so that they know where the next level is. Kind of like in the belt system. Like, okay, I'm working towards my black belt. Okay, everybody knows that. Okay, well, for staff, what is that? Right? What is that level for them? Where are they trying to go? And even with our top person, well, what's the next level? What's the next level we can go? Where can we grow the business? How can you expand your job and do even more? What's the next thing? So those are two huge takeaways for us.
Well, with that, Jason, you were talking about the roles and the titles, but it's more about who's in charge and who's going to take responsibility and accountability for what's happening on the floor or what's happening at the desk or whatever it is. If you have multiple people doing the same thing, even though it's encouraging to have everyone do and know the different positions, but have one person, you are the main instructor, and what happens on the floor is directly your responsibility, I think is key, right? Because then they know, they're like, I'm the one, and I'm directly responsible for my own commission, whatever that is, or bonus. And I'm also affecting yours over there too. So if I see that you're not doing what you're supposed to do, hey, that's a problem, and we need to work on this together as a team, because it is a team effort. And the whole thing about, you mentioned about martial arts, role playing through this, and you talked about how do you go through well, you got to role play it so you can figure out where you're messing up. And that's no different, Grandmaster Smith said and Master Moody said, than us training in our martial art. If I'm over here, if I haven't done my form in a year, am I going to be able to do it the same way that I did it a year ago? No, I'm declining. If I'm not practicing, whatever it is, you're just going to start missing some of that. So being upfront and continuously, just like martial arts, is what we already know how to do that. Now we just got to do it in our business. Does that make sense? That's what I pulled as well.
Yeah. Also,
Yeah,
on
no.
top of that, I was going to add one more thing. So something I realized yesterday. So I am starting to have my staff do the enrollments. And right now I've been doing all the sales and all that stuff. I'm going to have my staff start doing that. But what I realized is we're going to start taking extra notes. If somebody doesn't sign up, why? So for example, last night I had a no, and it's because, well, it's not, they might sign up. They're here for a week. They're leaving this Friday to go to Serbia for a month. Then they're back for a week, and then they're gone for 3 more weeks. And then they're back for 2 days, and then they're gone. And so they're like, well, I think we want to start maybe up in 3 months. So I'm not writing them down as we actually sign them up, because probably they're not going to be gone. But write that down. Why didn't they sign up, right? So that when my staff starts having problems, if somebody doesn't sign up, why? Well, it was a time thing. Okay, great. That's the objection. So let's practice that, and let's role play that so that we can work through pushing through that, right? So that's a side note of taking extra notes on why did this person drop out? Why did this person not sign up? Now, how do we overcome those objectives? And let's role play it, practice it, get it down, right?
Also, you got to make sure that when doing that, Jason, I have done that as well. I've done that for a while now, because since I've had my staff start doing enrollment conferences, and I use Grandmaster Oliver's sheet because I like it, because it comes back from an instructor's perspective. But the staff will often say, oh, they didn't enroll because of money. But then you actually talk to them and you're like, no, it wasn't finances. It was, in fact, time or something else. So exploring that with your staff, and not just letting them say it was finances or whatever, because oftentimes they will not even understand what they did wrong
Exactly.
in terms of that and just jump straight to finances because they don't know any better. So
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
And you know, that's where you're talking it through and saying, well, just from my understanding, you know, you guys can come twice a week. It looks like you're going to be in the area for a while. So the finances, tell me about that. Is the initial payment, is that going to be tough for you? Right. Specifically asking what that is, right? Exactly. Right on. Yep.
Yeah. You know, one of the things that we found, you mentioned about having your staff do more of the enrollment conferences, and between having more of our staff members do intro lessons and, you know, first intro lessons and enrollment conferences, they get a better understanding of the importance of their role out on the mat. So I guess just something for everybody to think about. We have definitely experienced that it's eye-opening for them to where they realize what they're doing out on the mat, how it has such an impact on enrollments and on renewals. Now, I know that the one question was, because we expanded it on Sundays, we talked more about the renewal process. And does anybody that was there on Sunday have any comments or inputs on the renewal process?
Again, a little bit. I'm sorry to talk so much, but
No, it's okay.
so with us,
Nobody else was jumping in.
well, yeah. So, and I'm still developing the system, but what we've done, again, the whole point is you need to pre-frame, right? The ideal is that when they do the renewal conference, it shouldn't be, well, you know, how does that work? What is that? What it should be is, oh, we want in. Just how much more is it? Let's get them started, right? That should be the mindset, just like the registration. Right? The registration and an actual enrollment shouldn't be, well, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? It should be, here's my card. Let's get them started. Right? That means you did everything right in the classes and all that. Right? So with us, what we've set up, and we're still working on, I'm still finalizing some things, but I've got a system where what we're doing is on the lapel, we have stars, belt order of our stars: yellow, orange, green, blue, purple, brown, black, right? And each of these stars is a different step qualifying them into this. So when they're starting to work on the check marks, if they're doing that, they started that, great, I give them a yellow star. And what we do is we just draw it on with a marker. And then I have a patch, and I give them the patch, and I tell the parents, if you want to sew this on, you can, but you don't have to, right? A lot of the parents actually sew it on. And also that shows us that kid's even more excited about it. And then I give them a sheet, and it's a piece of paper, and it has a QR code that's a 5-minute video. And it basically says, hey, great, if you're watching this, it means that you guys are starting the qualification process. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to qualify right away, but the point is, when you're ready to go, I want you to be prepared. So we're going to start you doing some of these steps and some of these exercises. We got a number of things for you to do. And with every step, it's going to get you closer and closer to qualifying into the Black Belt program. And then below that, I have our first 2 podcasts. And my first podcast is with Dr. Diana Sewell, who's a family therapist. And she basically explains the dangers of letting your kids quit an activity and how it's really problematic. Then I have Dr. Cher Edwards on the second one, who's a family or a counselor educator. She trains school counselors. And she also talks about, well, if they were going to quit something, what should you let them quit? What should you not let them quit? And so having them talk about that. So these are 2 extra podcasts. If they watch it, great. Now, they probably won't, but that's fine. But I'm giving them the option of that, right? Then once they do that, I give them the next sheet. And the next sheet, we actually are using the Black Belt visualization sheet. And then the next one is a family conversation. So saying, okay, so here's a sheet. And it basically says, look, mom and dad have dinner. And as a family, talk about getting a black belt takes a long time. What's something, mom or dad, what's something you did that took a long time and required a commitment? And what was the positive thing that came out of that? Okay, do you see your kid doing this? Do you think that they could stick with this for a long time? Do you think about this? What does this mean? So there's a family conversation talking about, you know, should we think about it? What do you think about this? Hey, this would be fun. What would this entail, right? So I want them talking about that. And then the next one is the family video. So I have a video where I'm talking to parents, and I have Dr. Sewell and I have several other people talk about why this is important, committing to your black belt. So I have these steps in place that we're doing, and it's complex, but it's not. Because what all my staff needs to know is if a kid comes in and hands them a sheet and they have a green star, what's the next color? Blue. All you need to know is our belt system, our belt colors. If they hand you a purple one, oh, the next one's brown. Here's the brown one. So all you need to know is what's the next color, and you grab the sheet with the next color and you hand it to them. And then you hand them, and you do that next start. So this way, instead of having a note, we used to have like a clipboard with this student. Are we qualifying? Have they done this step? Have they done that? And writing every single student out. This way, it's just on their thing. It's pretty easy to see. So we're testing this out. And we just had a parent come up when we got back, and they're like, "Oh, we're in. We're ready to go on the renewal. Can we just talk about how much it is?" Awesome, right? So what are your steps to getting them qualified so you don't do that ahead of time? Because if you do it ahead of time and they're not prepared and you're like, well, it's this much more, they're not going to go for it. They're going to be shocked. And that's where you might get a bait and switch, where they feel that it's a bait and switch, right? But if instead it's very obvious, well, there's this other program and it's so much better and you get all this stuff, look at what you're doing, how you see how they're making these improvements. Why would you stop? Keep this up. Yeah, we want to be in the black belt program. So that's something I'm working on. As we develop it more, I'll share it more with the group. But for you guys thinking about what are your qualification steps? How are you getting them ready so that when you go to that, it's easy. They're super excited about it.
Well,
Absolutely.
something else that they talked about, which relates to what Jason was talking about, is not just throwing someone over the fence and saying, oh, they got enrolled. Okay, now they're enrolled. Okay, now I got to focus on the next enrollment. But it actually taking them through that process, like Jason's talking about, and having them move towards the next step. And honestly, I told my program director at this point, it doesn't matter whether they go from, the yellow star to the green star. If it's not in order, just freaking do something, right? And put them in some sort of, that we're caring for them. And then Jason, you're really good about talking about that this is not just an activity. There's a difference between recreation and developmental. Going to school and going to 3rd and 4th grade and graduating from high school is developmental. It's an education. And that's exactly what we're doing, but we're doing something very, very similar. We're on that same path, and it relates to our rank when it comes to them achieving their black belt. It's like they're graduating from high school. And what is the outcome? Maybe they'll become a valedictorian if they're coming through our program and using the principles that we learn over here as well, opposed to them just not having any of that guidance. So Jason, you talked very well about that as well.
Yep.
You want to share about that? Because I'm teeing it up for you, man.
Pastor Harrison, why don't you go first? Then I can
Well,
get
I
more
was
of
just
that.
going to say, for some people that are maybe a little bit newer to what we're doing, the process that we need to follow is exactly what we're trying to teach. When we teach about goal setting, you've got to make sure that the first thing they're doing is saying that they want it, and you've got to be doing this in class. So that's the simple, and I'm going to use the most simplest form, but in class. So who wants to be a black belt? Everybody raises their hand. And then say, well, I'm going to tell you how I can give you 4 steps on what will guarantee that you're a black belt. And everybody's like, wow, guarantee. And the first thing is we've got to write it down, right? We've got to write down our goal and put a date to it. Well, that's that visualization sheet with the little thought bubbles on it and the date. You can start right there. Then your trigger for the next step for those people can be the ones that turn it back into you, because not everybody turns it back in. But the kids that turn it back in, that's showing you that there's some interest there. And then you let them know that, okay, great. You know what we're going to do? We're going to go take a look at this, evaluate it, and then we will get you your next step. Now, quite honestly, we do that because we know that even though some kids filled out the sheet, they're not ready. We don't want the family, whatever it might be. For the ones that we want, then we hand them the next step. And that's a little more of a goal setting sheet, and then get them involved in their leadership trial class, which would be that last 15 minutes. So they can come up with that and start doing whatever you might be doing. If you're doing some nunchucks, or maybe starting to take them through some things that they'll do in level 1. And then make sure that you set up their next level and make sure that you're giving them their assignments. But anyhow, in the speech going through, so the first thing is we have to write it down. We've got to put a date to it. The next thing is we've got to train like a black belt. Who knows what that means? And you can use a lot of different things. Well, you gotta walk the walk and not just talk. People that just talk, we call that lip service. That doesn't get you anywhere. And then you would talk about the next step, which is
Perseverance.
Not quitting.
yes,
quit.
well, that's actually the fourth step.
Yeah,
So
okay, sir.
yes. Third step, help me out, Ms. Cahill.
It's trained.
First step was raise your hand.
First, oh yeah, there you go. I must off on my numbers. Raise your hand, write it
Mhm.
down, train like a black belt. And then the fourth one, which you know, talk to them about. And the one thing that will guarantee it is just don't quit. So having those conversations in your class often, and I think I was talking with Scott and Brandy, sometimes we feel that we're doing it too much. There is no too much. We have to realize that if we're teaching classes 6 days a week, well, most of those kids are only there 2 days a week. So although we feel like, oh, just, you know, we're beating them to death with this. Well, no, they're not hearing it, or the parent's not hearing it, or whatever. So you really can't do that too much, and make sure that you're staying on that verbiage, getting those sheets out and getting the process started.
Mhm.
And as Jason said, and have a process to follow and stick to it. So
Yep.
that's just my point on renewals, but go ahead.
Let me add to that. So, so William, what you were just saying, so this is the message that I'm trying to get across to parents. Okay. Here's the problem. Sometimes parents don't hear it all. I mean, for Pete's sakes, how many times have I been to these meetings and I'm still learning some stuff, right? So you can't just teach it to them once in one format, right? So I have this message that I'm about to say, and I have it in a podcast, and I have it in a different video, and I have it in a mat chat, and I have it in a homework assignment where the kids take it through, you know, take it home. And we're talking to the kids before the class, and we're talking to them after the class. So there's all these different ways to hit the same points, right? And also when you do this, how many parents aren't paying attention? How many parents are on their phones not listening to you? How many parents don't even show up, right? How many parents drop off their kids and they don't come in? So you've got to get this message across. That's hard to do. That's why I've implemented this system and our mat chats and our class curriculum and talking to the kids, having the instructors talk to them before class. You've got to hit them on this, right? So the main thing, so what I'm also doing right now is we're starting to do a new student orientation. So once a month, new students can come and the kids just play around, and I meet with the parents and I talk with the parents. And that's something else. A side note, I get the parents to talk about what improvements they've seen so far from just starting to join, right? And that's testimonials. And everybody just talks about, wow, this has been great, and blah, blah, blah. The next parent, yeah, my kids, their respect is so much better. Next parent, yeah, they're listening and their focus is so much better. So having them all do that. And then here's the message, okay? Our job as parents is to give our kids the tools and the skills they need to be prepared later in life. That is our job, right? School, of course, does that. The problem is school doesn't do all of this. School is really good with reading, writing, math, science, history. It's fantastic. What about confidence? If you're being bullied in school, school is the thing taking that away. Okay, let's talk about another life skill, time management. That's a huge one. It's really, all of us know somebody that keeps getting fired because they don't have time management. That's a huge skill. In school, I learned to procrastinate. I got an A+ in that. I did not learn time management, right? There's an assignment due in 2 weeks. I'd be up the night before because I just didn't learn that, right? If you want your kids developing listening, focus, self-discipline, commitment, dedication, grit, goal setting, leadership, conflict resolution, anger management, stress management, this is what we do. This is our program. So it's difficult as a parent because sometimes, this is going to be a shocker, sometimes kids don't listen to you. Right? Also, you don't know what your kid is going to struggle with or not. And also, just because you've learned something doesn't mean you can teach that to your kid. Just because you've had an experience that taught you this life skill, telling your kid a story about that experience is very different. So the solution, and what family therapists are going to say, what psychologists are going to say, is you need to put role models in your kid's life. You need to put role models that share your values, that are going to say the same thing you say, and vice versa. There's times I'm going to be teaching them things you guys haven't thought of, and now I want you to reinforce what we're saying. That's part of our program. That's the genius of this program, is we have role models that are there with you day in and day out. So there's people that are like, oh my gosh, I've got to commit to a black belt. That's such a long commitment. It's the opposite. Do you realize you get these role models in their life day in, day out, year after year? Do you realize how valuable that is? So our program, you've heard that it takes a village to raise a child. We're part of that village. That's what we do here, right? So that's basically the new student orientation. Then I have that in a video with me not saying that stuff, with Dr. Sewell saying that, with Dr. Edwards saying that, with the parents saying that. So hopefully they heard it here, but if they didn't, they also hear it here, right? And then we take bits and pieces of that and put that in the mat chats. So hopefully the parents hear it there, right? So that's the point, is how do you get that message across in different ways? And if they hear all of it, great. If they only hear one or two of it, great. By the time I get to that renewal conference, they're sitting there going, oh yeah, this is the best thing our family could do, right? So that's my goal, is telling people, how do you get that message across?
That's great. You know, I was just thinking and remembering for some of that mat verbiage, for those of you that were out at Jeff's school in Norfolk in whatever month that was. When were we there? February? February.
Yep.
Grandmaster Smith was out there doing it live, and I know that Jeff videotaped it and had posted that. So if you weren't there watching it, or even if you were, and you want to go back and just review it, I mean, that's getting it from the horse's mouth. You know, Grandmaster Smith is the grandmaster of black belt verbiage. So I would definitely say that's something for everybody to go take a look at and review. So, and he doesn't forget the 3 steps, because he forgot that he said the first one. So
You did say it. Who wants to be a black belt?
right, I
It's
know,
raising
but
your hand.
I lost my number, and I'm like, there's, yeah, okay. So okay. Any other thoughts or takeaways from the weekend?
One thing that I feel like everybody needs to start implementing, that I learned over the weekend, is just reiterating the fact that you shouldn't tell or ask the kids, did you have fun today? Because when push comes to shove and, you know, they get bored in class, or it's not fun anymore, the parents are like, oh, okay, we're done. So try to think of maybe, some of you could also probably explain it a little bit better, because I know a lot of us were there for that, but just what I really just want to make sure we start saying, at least here in our school, is, what did you learn today?
Yeah.
Or something along those lines. Not, did you have fun? Because
Right.
that's not congruent.
Right. Did you get a work? Did you get a good workout in? Oh, you broke a sweat there. You're looking good. Something along those lines, because yeah, absolutely. I'm sure we've all heard that. He's just not having fun anymore. Well, that's not supposed to be fun every day. And I know that Grandmaster Oliver has covered that with his
He has.
calm speech and verbiage of, well, you know, again, it's a developmental program, and of course our instructors are going to do everything to make sure that the classes are good and fun. But you know, much like they're not going to love going to school every day, but that doesn't mean that we stop. You know, they're here to learn, and we'll do our best to make sure that they're having some fun. But the key thing is that they stay on their developmental path. So yeah, that's something actually we talked about a little bit. Maybe it was on the plane ride home, and very good point, because I find myself just trying to have quick, you know, touch conversation with the kids. It's, oh, did you have fun today? So I'm one of the biggest offenders of that.
So actually, adding on that, so yesterday I just had a registration and I signed this girl up, but the family, we realized, wait, we had this kid, so that her older brother did classes with us 2 years ago and did it for a couple months and quit. And we were trying to get him to do twice a week, and this is a family that they just couldn't find a way to fit it in. So I was like, well, why don't we do it once a week for the first belt test, and then after that, then we can get him on twice a week, right? And that usually works. But with this family, it didn't. And the kid all of a sudden didn't want to come in, so they quit. And now they came back. So they came to a birthday party, and the girl came to the birthday party, and she really wanted to do it. So I'm just like, well, this is going to be a crappy family probably, and all that stuff. And as I started talking to them, actually, no, the girl was really excited about this. And then mom was like, well, I kind of want to get her brother in here again, but I don't want to put them in the same class because he's probably going to give up again. And I don't want him to influence her. Right. And so I started going off of, well, you know, what most families, if you see students that are wearing a blue uniform or red uniform, these other colors, it's because they've realized that their kids need to learn this. They need to learn the self-defense. They need to learn the bullying prevention. They want them to improve their listening, their focus, their self-discipline, their confidence, and all that. That is huge. So for a lot of parents, that's not an option. We're just doing this, just like, well, they need to go to school. They need to go to bed at a certain time. They need to do their chores. That's how a lot of parents do it. And the parents responded, well, yeah, we can do that because we're adults now. And I got her signed up, right? But I'm realizing that's where a lot of parents feel is we're saying we can teach them these things. And what the parents thinking, well, yeah, but they're just a kid. They just haven't, eventually they're going to figure this out as an adult. That the problem is they're not doing that. He doesn't have the commitment or the dedication. You haven't been able to teach him that. Why will that all of a sudden change? It might, it could, it might not. And if it doesn't change, he's in trouble. He's not going to not be able to enjoy life to the fullest because he's going to be held back because he keeps getting fired. He doesn't have a good job. He can't have relationships or whatever it is. That's going to happen. Right. So that's in the parent's mind is, well, I just want them to, of course, I'd like them to learn this, but it really has to be them wanting. If they have fun, that's how they'll learn it the best. Right. And that's where our process needs to be. And that's why I found that message I just told her, it didn't sit, but that message sits when I do a new student orientation. Mm-hmm. And now other parents are going, yeah, that's right. Oh, let me tell you about my son and what he learned. When it comes from other people like that, it matters. And that's why I want to have Dr. Sewell and these other people. And a side note, by the way, I mentioned this to the group. I'll talk to Master Oliver about this. I can have Dr. Sewell come on and you guys can introduce to her. She charges like $250 an hour. But if you wanted to do a podcast with her and ask her something like that, she'd be willing to do that. She wants to get to know people first and make sure the message is strong, which I told her in this group it will be. But if anybody's interested in that and interviewing her for something like that, we can have her on. I'll talk to Master Oliver about that. But anyway, side note, that's exactly, we've got to change that parent's perspective. And if you don't, they're not a good fit.
Yeah.
Right? When we're going through that registration process and I don't have that, move on. That's part of that 25% we don't want to renew because they're never just going to follow through. They're never going to have that, right? That's okay. Next one up. Where's the family that is absolutely thrilled and loves this and this is the best thing in the world? I want to focus on that energy. I want to focus on that student.
Great. All right. Well, any other takes from the weekend or questions? Anybody that wasn't there or?
I just want to say sorry I missed you guys, but I appreciate this. This has been great. Thank you so much for all your wisdom. You did a great job, Master Harrison and everybody else that spoke up. Thank you.
Sure. We're going to see you in October?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely. We won't miss anymore.
Good deal. Well, Bob, I would say then.
I was going to say one more thing. Amanda Christensen after school program was phenomenal. Master Harrison, you do that. I'd love to see yours also. I'd love to see if you guys could film your graduation sometime, that'd be phenomenal. Sure. So something that Amanda did that was phenomenal at hers, she's doing this graduation. So she had her black belts come out and perform so that the kids got to see that and all the families got to see that. And then the kids did their performance, right? And everybody's clapping and cheering for them and all that stuff. And then she says, okay, so they've only been doing this for about 3 weeks. Parents, can you stand up and tell me something you're proud of with your kids and you know, what they've accomplished in the last 3 weeks? And parents were standing up. Some of them were crying because they're so happy and proud of their kid because now they're being more respectful and now they're listening better and all that stuff. And that was, and parent after parent after parent says that, and that was awesome. And so then getting them signed up, and they've been signing people up. Some of them they'd signed up before the after school program even began. Mm-hmm. Some of them they're signing up the first week, the second week, the third week, and then by graduation they're you know signing up the last ones. But that was a really cool experience. So that was a great takeaway for us.
Well, absolutely, and that's a whole nother. We could probably spend a whole conference call on how to properly do those after school programs. But we did have some discussion about that, and I'm sure that's something that we can get on the agenda for another time.
Yeah, and Master Oliver does have the after school enrichment videos that he did with the Mile High classes. That's posted in the Facebook. Just look at after school enrichment, but yeah, definitely, that's all valuable.
Any housekeeping notes there, Bob?
Yes, sir. So last thing, please welcome James Carswell, Riley Fife, and to leadership. And who am I missing? Mark Pamplis. G. Hailey has also come on board, but she's not on today. She wasn't able to make the meeting. But I'm going to keep you three behind for a little bit. I'm going to walk you through the member site and show you around there. And again, thank you guys, and thank you, Mr. Harrison, for leading up the meeting. I really appreciate it. Great job.
Definitely my honor and pleasure. Yes, I thank you guys all. And that the next meeting's October, what do we say?
Yes, sir. October 3rd and 4th is quick start. Leadership is October 4th and 5th. And then the $1 Million Schools will be on the 6th.
And that's going to be out in Evergreen, Golden Evergreen. So
Golden, Colorado. Yes, sir. He hasn't confirmed the hotel with me, but it may be at the same place. He hasn't confirmed, so don't hold me to the hotel. So, but it will be.
Yeah, thank you all. Thank you all very much. Great to see you. Nice to meet some of you, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Grandmaster Harrison, thank you for your mentorship and guidance today, and
You're
always.
welcome. Thank you guys for helping out and making it easy. So thank you.
All right.